Hello everybody and welcome back to Dickie's Videos, where no war game of course remains unplayed. And here we are again with Field of Glory 2 series, Hints and Tips. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be looking at the defensive and offensive spearmen. And of course these do get muddled up quite easily in games, and I will say I get this wrong all the time when playing probably more ancient and probably medieval stuff. So we're just going to have a quick look, referring to the manual, and of course, you know, using these in a correct manner. Please disagree or agree in the comments below, and let's just have a quick conversation about defensive and offensive spearmen. So, you know, what is an offensive spearman? What is a defensive spearman? So we'll look at the defensive spearman, and it is literally what it says on the tin. It is a defensive spearman. Defensive spearman, so we'll look at the two POAs here as well, and of course I will refer to the manual for defensive spearmen. So a defensive spearman will of course have his own POA values. So a defensive spearman of course is defensive, and it's not indicated under the shock troop category of the manual, but offensive spearman is. So the best thing we're going to get here for defensive spearman is of course the standard 100 POA from any troop if not charging versus defensive spearmen. So defensive spearmen get 100 POA versus any troop if not charging. So defensive spearmen or versus defensive spearmen. So 100 POA versus any troop if not or versus. So it's going to be, it wants to get charged. So if we look at yet again here, we have our defensive spearmen against the shield wall offensive. We got here the offensive spearman, which is offensive, which is meant to be charged, as in gets the 100 POA for the impact. It will always get the 100 POA for the offensive spearman. So I can't remember if it is affected if it's disrupted, but I know the offensive spearman may get negatives if it is actually disordered or not. I don't think it does actually. It still gets the 100 POA. That's impacts. Yeah, we're looking at impact, so it's all about the impact. Yeah, it still gets it. So as you can see there, we'll get the 100 POA on the charge, and if I flip over to the other side, so we'll look at what we've got here. We're looking at it, no impact, impact for the offensive, but then 100 POA each. And then when we switch over to the offensive, we're only getting the offensive capability there. Like I said, before, sorry, I'm getting my orders worn up here. We would not get the 100 POA for the offensive on the charge. So as you can look there, we're not getting it there. So we're at a massive disadvantage charging with the defensive than we would be. I thought we got confused there with the defensive. So defensive is always good to have a defense charge, but also doesn't have offensive charges. That's the way it goes. So we're going to look at the poorly armed rabble. So if we were to charge the poorly armed rabble in here, he's getting the 100 POA for the defense. And if I would change it over to the defensive, we're not getting any POA for the charge. So that's the initial differences there. But also remember, you do get the defense values from shock cavalry and stuff like that. So that's the main differences there. Shield wall, I mean, it's quite simple. You're defending with your defensive and charging with your offensive. But these units will just mash against each other, and then there'll be a slight edge there with the offensive shield wall. I really hope I quoted you right there, because sometimes, like I said, I do get muddled up in this, and I want to clear you right. So these are the two main differences here. Like I said, some lists have really, really heavy offensive spearman units or really offensive defensive spearmen. We're looking at the British 600 and the Anglo-Saxon. I just wanted a list that we could just mirror these two units off and to see what they would do. But like I said, it comes down to that POA value. I mean, the units are particularly in... these units here are particularly the same, apart from The only main difference is the offensive, defensive spearmen. So, of course, you're on the offensive. Like I said, you may come across other light armoured troops that which have swordsmen, which could, of course, we could probably chuck this into the fray against a other unit to show you this. We've got another defensive spearman. Is it an offensive? Yeah, an offensive. We'll just do a pure example of this. This is a little bit ad hoc here. This is. So we've just got a basic medium foot unit, but unfortunately this guy will take massive POA negatives for the thing there. So you see there, you've got the light spear. The light spear gives him that impact as a shock troop, but also the offensive shield wall would. But the defensive would only give the 100. And of course, if we look at the just the melee there, we've got swordsman, which gives the 50. Offensive spearman and whatever armor advantage given him, particularly a massive loss rate on the medium foot there. So it's just them little differences that probably would make a do or die. You know, when you think about adding this into a more big melee, the fact is it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be, you know, you've got height, you've got quality, armor. If you've got any Huskels with armor, which are offensive spearmen, you know, then they get the. Of course, it's the impact which is the main difference and the defensive. So if you're fighting a swordsman unit, it would be different here. But of course, they do have the light spear to fit that. But if you have like any rabble or anything like that that's fighting against them, they won't be as matched there. So there you go. The main differences of the offensive and defensive spearmen, you know, can change your style of play. Like I said, you do have other units that are different, as in your armored offensive and your armored defensive spearmen. I think most of the Huskels and stuff like that are just offensive spearmen, but of course the troop quality does really help them. So there you go, folks. Offensive, defensive. Pick your battles. Remember, you're probably, like I said, just in a nutshell, going to be defending more with your defensive and probably pushing out more with your offensive. But remember, you still get that 100 POA regardless of that. So it's pretty good still and pretty sound unit. So thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Come back for another tips and hints from Field of Glory. I've been Dickie, and see you later, folks.